thank you, excuse me, and that stuff. And
what about being nice?
being nice, yeah.
Nice to people?
No hats at the table.
No hats? What about elbows off the table, Mabel? Yeah.
I'm doing both of them. I got hats and elbows on the table.
Well, you're not eating, right?
Oh, that's true. I'm not eating. That's right.
Yeah, you're not eating.
Dudes to Dads is a podcast to help men understand and navigate the transition of being a single dude into a family man. How do we make sense of it all? Well, we probably won't be able to, but let's go ahead and have some fun trying.
And we are back.
We're back.
I'm Jason Kreidman.
I'm Alan Bush.
And this is Dudes to Dads.
This is Dudes to Dads, it is.
So, today's episode
Yeah.
is that you have to teach your children manners.
Manners. Very important.
And guess what?
What?
Well, you already know. We have a very special guest
I didn't
today.
know that.
You didn't know. My son, Kasen, happens to be sitting in with us. Kasen, say hello.
Hi,
Hey.
So, Kasen, how old are you?
I am 7 years old.
You're 7 years old. Okay, so Kasen happens to be sitting. We are doing this late at night, almost past his bedtime. But that's
hang out
okay.
with the big boys today.
Yeah, he gets to hang out with us. I thought it would be cool that he could sit in and at least
I think it's great.
See and hear what we do.
Yeah. I haven't seen you since you were little.
And certainly, Alan, if you need to ask him questions to see whether I'm doing the things
Yeah.
that I say that I'm doing, you can do that.
Okay, cool.
But like I said, we're talking about manners,
Yeah.
and the reality is that this is not something that you're born with. We're not just. I mean, there are other things that we're born with. Manners are not
come out super polite right out of the
manners
womb.
are not one of them. and I think the reality is that most people don't seem to have really good manners.
That's true.
We talked about with Kevin, if you remember.
Yeah.
Talk about opening doors and how surprised people are when you
I
open
get
a
the
door.
same thing. I open a door for a female friend of mine, and they're
Right.
like, "Oh, I wasn't expecting."
People are
that."
so surprised.
Yeah, and I guess
Right.
that's good. That makes me look like I'm better.
Right. Yeah. Well, so it's important to start early.
Yeah.
One of the articles I read said you can teach it about 18 months.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, people do it before, obviously, especially if their kids are talking or something like that.
Yeah.
But at 18 months, they begin to be aware of other people's feelings.
Right.
So at that point, you can you can start to teach them some things.
Yeah.
So here's the thing, because if you don't teach them, it can be somewhat problematic when they get into school. I mean, imagine, and you've seen if the kids don't have manners, they don't say thank you or anything like that. So, Kasen, I'll ask you, and we haven't prepped any of these questions, so he's just going off the cuff.
Improvise.
Do you think that you see kids in school, like some have manners and some don't?
Yeah, most of them have manners.
Most of them do.
What grade are you in?
Second.
Second grade.
Yeah.
So they're pretty polite in second grade. Yeah.
Well, so that's good. That's good to hear that people are
Not a bunch
teaching
of
it.
Wild child.
Yeah, the thing is, it doesn't happen overnight. It doesn't happen overnight. That's for sure. I mean, you have to teach that. It's an ongoing thing.
Yeah.
A couple tips, and then I think we're going to actually get into what we actually should expect with manners from kids. The first thing I would say is monkey see, monkey do. Meaning, the parents. If the parents do not have manners, most likely the kids are not either.
True.
And you can't expect your children to have manners when you don't.
And you don't. You
So
gotta
we, obviously
set the example.
Yeah, you have to set the example. And I find myself saying, "Please, thank you," way more than I used to.
Excuse me.
I say, "Excuse me."
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and Kasen said one of the things I've done, which I need to work on, is I interrupt. Right?
Yes.
He said,
does that a lot on
I'm
the
a
show.
conversation hijacker. So
you said that?
Yeah, but that is something. I said, what is something that I need to improve? He says,
Yeah.
well, you have to let me finish what I'm
that's
saying.
funny. Yeah, you call yourself doing that. If you
Well,
want.
I do. That's my. I don't know.
He talks a lot.
I do. See, it's just like the podcast. It's real
Yeah,
life.
exactly. Right.
So the other thing too, and I remember a friend of mine did this, was something called cotillion.
Okay.
Have you ever heard of that?
No.
No.
Cotillion. So cotillion, and it usually start in like 5th grade.
Yeah.
And basically, it's etiquette and manners class.
Oh, okay.
So you go and you learn like which fork
Yeah.
You learn how to dance, or like a guy asks a girl to dance, how to do that.
Yeah.
And these different things of sort of chivalry and all that. And so that's something that, usually starts, like I said, about 5th grade. And I guess they may think or that, you have to be at a certain age in order to maybe grasp some of the concepts.
Some of it, yeah.
But there's sort of 4 areas that I saw that, the 4 areas of manners that are really, really crucial when they're that young, when they're really young. And so that's what this is about. So the first one is just basic table manners. Sure. So we're talking about, at your own table, at a restaurant, whatever. They said they sort of broke it out, what to expect versus what to do. And so by age 3, your child should be able to eat with a spoon and a fork.
Okay.
So rather than eating with their hands, obviously. And they should be able to stay seated at the table for 15 to 20 minutes.
Okay.
They should be able to clean themselves. If they are dirty, they should be able to wipe their mouth, that kind of thing. And that's by age 3.
Yeah.
So that's pretty young.
That is
a toddler.
Young. Yeah.
So when you see, a young toddler who's just still eating with their hands.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
What were the table manners?
Makes sense.
What were you talking about before, where it's like not wearing a hat at the table? Does that count as table manners?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kind of,
absolutely.
yeah.
Okay.
Or elbows off the table.
What was it? What was that one?
We're not as strict in our house.
Elbow
No.
off the table, Mabel.
Yeah. So they'll say that if we have they got that from somebody else.
That's
so.
funny. I like it.
And so also, during the toddler years, you put the child's food on a small, usually a plastic plate or something, because they can throw it.
Right.
Yeah.
And
And so you don't want the glass ones to break.
you don't want the glass ones to break.
So you
but
want
what
your-
we would typically say is maybe don't throw food on the floor.
Yeah.
Sure.
Or if you don't want any more, we'd say, hey, say no thank you.
Yes.
And so we do that.
Good.
So the other basic, manner would be just saying please and thank you. And so that's something at 18 months old, the child will probably be able to say it, most children.
Yeah.
They may not necessarily grasp what it means.
18 months?
18 months. If they're
That's
talking.
a year and a half?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, if they're talking. By 2.5, kids can typically link the words to the concept.
Right.
So that's when it's like, oh, thank you, please.
Yeah.
And you have to keep doing it.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
It's not something that just, we always say, oh, can you try that again? That's something that we'll say. So that they, if they don't say it, then they do that. The real test, obviously, is when they're in, a situation and you're not there.
Yeah.
And that's really the test of saying, and it is great when I see other children and they come up and we're doing some activity, whether it's at school or camping or whatever, and they're like, oh, thank you very much, or, please, or whatever, it's really nice to see that. And in some of the, I think like Kasen said, I mean, at his school, I've worked in the school, I've gone and volunteered, and for the most part, they're very polite and, they do that.
You haven't worked there.
That's why I made the mistake. I said I volunteered.
Yeah.
No, I don't work there.
Yeah,
I
it
work
doesn't
here.
get paid by the school. Yeah.
So, you're right, though. Absolutely. You are correct. See, just like me, he likes to
correct.
Yeah.
Language. Right?
Yeah.
Make sure you say the right thing.
It's my boy. So, and then what to do if your child, hasn't gotten into that habit. This is, you typically say, what do we say after we get a gift? Or what do we say when someone gives us a treat? And so you sort of prompt them so that they know then, oh, thank you. Which I hear and see this happening all the time. I mean, I always hear that. So
Right.
I think people are pretty on to that.
Yeah.
So another big one is sharing.
Yeah.
Sharing is a really big one. At age 2, around 2, a child begins to understand the concept of sharing and turn taking.
Yeah.
If they are an only child, that obviously may have a little different.
It's harder. I grew up
yeah.
kind of being an only child, so it's a lot harder I think at that age for me to understand that. But I think I got it enough. But it is harder because you're not used to it.
Yeah, you don't have to.
Yeah.
You don't have to share toys. And you don't have to share.
No one's around me most of the time.
Yeah, and so that is something that's a little different. And the kids don't necessarily like sharing.
Yeah.
So it's not something that's natural to be like, oh yeah, here, use my toy. It's like they have to learn that there's other people.
Sure.
To do that, and so we try to do that.
Yeah.
So one of the things you can do, you can encourage your toddler to share. One of the things like having play dates. You give 2 similar toys to the child, and then you'd say, what would you do with the extra one? And you sort of model that so that they know to give it to the other person. Sure. So a lot of it is setting them up in the correct way so that they can share, rather than like they're really into something and all of a sudden you're like, hey, you got to give that up. Yeah. That you're kind of setting them up for failure. Right. So that's something. And then another one that they mentioned was apologizing. Right. So this is something we still learn into our 40s. That at about 18 months, a child has a basic understanding of empathy, which I didn't understand empathy until my 40s. Right. But you can't really understand why they're expected to apologize.
But they might see that people feel bad, and then they react to it. Right. And they're like, oh.
So 2.5 to 3, they'll understand the concept, but often sort of caught up in their own affairs to sort of do it on their own. Yeah. Sure. Which totally makes sense. I mean, they're really thinking about themselves, which happens at 42. Yeah. Right. So at 3 and 40, we're sort of the same.
Yeah, it's basically the same concepts. Right. We haven't outgrown them.
And so what to do, like, if, your child is, like, grabbing a toy, you might say, well, we don't hit, hitting hurts, and then you make them apologize. When we hurt someone, we say we're sorry. I would add to this is sorry, especially with the teaching stuff that the parenting stuff that I learned, sorry really wasn't enough. It was like, how can I make it up to you? So if you did hit or you did do something, you might say sorry, but that doesn't fix it. It's how do you fix it? Right. And so I would add that on to this article, that, it doesn't stop right there. It's sort of saying, hey, listen, I did something wrong. I'm going to have to go fix it, because saying sorry isn't enough. Like then you just go around hitting and go sorry, sorry. Sorry. Ultimately, you're going to want to do that. So that's something I think that's very important. So those were 4 things, like sort of these basic manners. However, I had another list that I wanted to go over, and this was the 10 most important manners for young kids. Okay. This was a good one, and they're some of them are very similar, but I wanted to. I thought this was a great list as well. So the first one, say the word please.
Okay. You agree with that, Case? Say please.
Yep. Which is really just showing consideration for other people. Yeah. You're doing it. Say thank you. Right. That's the second one. Shows appreciation and most importantly gratitude. Right. That's something that is really important to learn and to teach. Yeah. We all don't do that. I wish, I think we can all learn to be more grateful and have more gratitude. I was trying to think of that word. The same thing with this one, apologize. Shows the empathy and that you're taking responsibility for your actions. Right. However, that's where I think it needs to add like how to fix it. Smile and have a good attitude is number 4. Kasen, you have this one. For sure.
He's got a good smile.
Both him and his sister are good smiles.
Smiley guys.
And that just makes everything better for yourself and others. I mean, other people then want to be around you.
Especially Farrah.
Yeah, your sister. So I mean, just having that good attitude. Yeah. And I think they got a lot of that from their mom. She's always happy.
That's good.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
Not always.
Nah.
Yeah. Half.
Yeah. Make small talk. So that's an important skill, like to kind of just, when you greet somebody, for friendships and later in life. And I mean, I think what they meant by that is just, the ability to converse. Sure. And even though it doesn't have to be meaningful, it's the idea of like, hey, how's it going? And just being comfortable talking to somebody. Sure. And as a young kid, you can see there's a lot of young kids often where when you come up to them, depending on how your mannerisms are and your demeanor, they're very shy. Very, very shy. They're not wanting to confront you or talk to you and stuff. We learn this like stranger danger, which I think there's certainly value in that, but at the same time, it's like, no, you can also be nice. Sure. Even though you don't know the person, you can still be nice to them. Yeah. You don't have to like shy away and walk away.
If they're a good person,
Yeah, you don't know.
Yeah.
Sometimes you know.
You want to know I think you could kind of pick up the differences. I was a shy kid, but it didn't matter if they're cool or not.
Yeah.
You know, so
some people just don't talk or don't, don't do that. They, and it's not that that's not okay. It's just some people think of that as bad manners.
Yeah.
You know, cause, or they think that something's wrong with them. You know, like, why is this person not talking to me? Ask questions of others. Mm-hmm. I think this is important. This I always knew in dating, that, asking the questions of other people that you're with makes you likable.
Yeah.
Versus somebody who wants to talk about themselves the whole time.
Right.
So when you ask questions of somebody else and allow them to talk, they will feel good about the situation and you.
Yeah.
Which is very interesting, because I guess it is that people feel good about it when they get to talk.
Well, we're showing interest in them by asking questions about them.
Right.
So they're saying, "Oh, they're interested in me. Maybe I should talk about myself," and then open up. And sometimes they do the same for you, or they feel more comfortable.
Yeah. So that's something I think is important for for young kids to learn. It's just curiosity, and a lot of them are. Most young kids are curious.
Yeah.
Saying "excuse me," I think that shows considerations for others, sort of like the please and thank you.
Yeah.
Looking for an opportunity to compliment others. That's number 8. So, that's something that can make other people feel good.
Yeah.
And help with a reciprocal relationship. So if you do, I don't know so much. Maybe girls do it more than boys or not. Like they'll comment on something. But I think young boys will do that too. Like, oh, that's a cool XYZ, or something. I mean, like, hey, I saw your shoes or something. It might, when you're that young, it's probably more like material or a toy or something like that.
So
they're
you
not
do that at like 2nd grade. Do you compliment on other people's stuff?
Yeah, I mean, if you saw one of your friends something that you liked, would you say, "Hey, I really like that"?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Sometimes, or all.
Yeah, like the yearbook covers.
Right, your friend did that.
Which we already did.
Right.
Yeah.
I still hope I win.
But you're right. You said your friend did one, and you went and said, "Hey, that was a really nice drawing."
Yeah, almost everyone impressed me.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They just really drew good pictures. That's cool.
Especially Tyler.
Well, he'll be happy to hear that.
Well, he copied a picture on the front cover of last year, so kind of makes sense.
He covered the winner.
Except he drew a football in the background.
Well, that happens. But you were impressed. You liked it the way everybody drew it. That's cool. So you told them that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so that probably makes them feel good.
Sure.
Other kids, when you're saying, "Hey, that looks great," or that's a good job, or something like that. Coming from a peer, that's a big deal.
Sure.
I think that's important. So number 9, share. Show others that you care. That helps you think of other people, makes you appreciate what you have.
Yeah.
So sharing. And I think you do that pretty well, Kasen. I always say, I gave that to somebody else, like whether it's food or
that's nice.
some toy. I've said I have seen in the past where you have given something to your friends. Like even he got a couple dollars, and you went to school and you bought ice cream for your friends.
Sidekicks.
Sidekicks.
That's nice of you.
They're like ices.
Right.
Oh, okay.
Like the ices
Yeah.
at 7-Eleven.
Yeah.
They're kind of
They're
like
little,
those.
little small ones.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
They're like little small.
Yeah. So nobody prompted him for that.
That's really cool.
Yeah, that was really
Yeah,
nice.
that's very nice of you.
My $5.
Yeah, that's great.
That is
One
cool.
for
I
each
want to
friend.
hang out with you now.
One for each friend.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And then the other, sort of the golden rule, which is, treat others the way that you want to be treated.
That's basically dragon respect.
Right. In your martial arts.
Oh, you do. Oh, you do.
Yeah, I do them right over there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they teach you what's dragon respect.
Dragon respect is like treating others the way you want to be treated, and like that stuff. We have dragon respect, tiger leadership, crane honesty, snake self-control, and leopard discipline.
So they're like these little cards.
5 animals.
Yeah, they're these cards. It's great, so that you can check them off when your kids do something that's related to that.
Cool.
It's
Cool.
very,
That's
very
great.
nice. So treat others the way you want to
Yeah.
be treated is important. So
That's great.
that sort of covers all the bases of just how you live your life.
Yeah, yeah.
Which is the golden rule.
Exactly. The golden
So
dragon respect.
yeah. So if you have any other manners that you'd like to share, email us, podcast@dudestodads.com.
That's right.
Where else can they find us?
We can find us on iTunes and on Stitcher.
Kind of.
And we need to leave comments. How many stars should we leave? 5, maybe?
Infinity.
Yeah, Infinity. Leave Infinity stars for us. And make sure that you do leave a review at the very least. You don't have to do Infinity. But if you can do Infinity, let us know.
That would be cool.
That would be cool, right?
So with that, on behalf of Alan and Kasen, thank you for joining us, Kasen.
Thank you.
And I'm Jason, and we will see you next time.
See you next time.